Welcome everyone to the V8 Supercar official online series presented by Bigpond Sport, Extreme Sim Gear and Direct Clutch Services. Joining us for round 6 at Oulton Park, and in the commentary box alongside me, Jay Kennedy, I've also got Jason Bean. G'day, Jace.
G'day guys, great to be back here. We're week 6, looking forward to tonight's race.
Yeah, it's going to be a great one, and also I think one of the most excited men in the commentary box tonight. He loves these sort of races. Stephen Sandman Clark. G'day, Sandman.
G'day fellas, mate. You're not wrong. I love the pit stops. It certainly does bring a different twist into the racing, and it's certainly very exciting. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty good race, and joining us for, as typical, we have our hot lap preview. Madison Down joining us tonight. Hey, Matt.
Yeah, good day, guys. Should be exciting doing the hot lap. Hopefully I don't bin it, but there we go.
Tradition at this track to bin it on the hot lap, so Brad Ryan gave that a go last season or season before, so I think it's tradition.
Yeah, it's tricky over the crest. The car cracked sideways. I think that might have been what happened to Brad last season, so hopefully I don't do that and show you the right way to go around the track.
Yeah, what is it about this track makes it so difficult? The crests, or is it something else?
Yeah, the crests are quite severe here. So when you've got 630 odd horsepower, and you try to hold it flat across those crests, the back just cracks sideways on you. And because you're doing about 220 kilometers an hour over some of them, yeah, just at that speed, stuff goes wrong so quickly. So it's quite hard to get it back. Also, the track can be a little bit off-cambered on a few of those rises as well, which makes it all the more difficult.
And we know every week car setup is crucial to having a hot lap around every circuit that we go to. But does it really count as much we are this week as far as where the bumps and the undulations that we were just talking about?
Yeah, I found a few little tiny shock changes made all the difference in the world this week, just through being able to cut across the chicane curbs, and track in a few places has some pretty severe bumps under brakes and stuff like that. So to get your shocks and springs right is really important here. I'm not sure we've quite nailed it, but yeah, the car's quick, so that's all that matters, I think.
Yeah, championship-wise, you imagine haven't had the best start of the season. You're looking to turn it around this week?
Yeah, well, I was saying, I think a few weeks ago to you guys, got to start winning races if I want a shot at another championship. And at the halfway point, I haven't won one yet, so yeah, pretty soon I've got to start thinking about doing some winning. So yeah, I'd really like to get one up tonight on pole, so hopefully I can convert it to a win.
Madison, having that pole advantage, I guess, is it's always handy, but the field, they're just so close at the front there. I mean, they're going right back to, I guess, effectively Sean Kelly, who is sitting 9th. You know, there's only 0.4 of a second between you guys.
Yeah, that's it. It's so competitive. Anyway, start a hot lap. Gotta be careful there not to get too much wheel spin over the crest. Brake at the braking marker there, down to 4th gear, turn it in really early, bring the power in smooth on exit, try and not get wheel spin. It's really difficult there, there's a few big bumps. Brake straight across here, there's a nasty bump under brakes, you've got to try and get it turned in, make the curb. Again, feed the power on ever so gently, there's a few nasty bumps there as well. Up at the fast left-hander here, down change once, trail brake to the apex, make the curb, feed the power on, brake straight into the hairpin. It's really easy to lock a front right there. I go up to 3rd here on exit just to avoid wheel spin. Get a much cleaner drive off that corner. Brake straight into this chicane, cut across the curb. Try and not hit the tyre bundles, that'll disallow your laps in qualifying. Bumpy exit there, you just got to try and feed the power on very gently. Down here it's really easy to overcook it on entry. Just got to drive it in as deep as you can, miss those bundles, feed the power on, short shift to 3rd, cut the curb there as much as you can, smooth up the hill. This is tricky, you can very easily fence it here. Just crack sideways over the crest, cut across this curb, brake straight, again easy to lock a brake there. Double apex it, the crest on exit's off camber as well, so it's hard to get the power down. Then into the final corner, there's a few nasty bumps as well. It's easy to lock rears here and overcook it. I short shift to third again because the road drops away here, so it's hard to get the power down. Then straight run up to the line. What's not a bad lap. Anyway, that's a lap at Oulton Park. At least I didn't crash it. I'm happy about that.
I think the one thing that we noticed from that is it's really, really tough to pass at this track. So I think more than ever, being a pit stop race, pit strategy is going to play a bigger part than ever tonight. Is that something you're working on or thinking about, Madden?
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of guys pitting pretty much as soon as you can. I think the earliest you can actually pit is lap 8, and that's the critical lap number to get enough fuel and get home. So I think you're going to see a lot of guys in the pits early, because then obviously you get new tyres and can gain some track position. As you said, passing's really, really difficult here. You can't really do it unless someone makes a mistake. So yeah, look for all the guys coming in really early.
I had a chat to a couple of the drivers through the week, mate, and they were talking about the difference between 2 tyres and 4 tyres during these stops. You know, there's a couple of people out there just saying if they go with 2 tyres for the working side, which sort of around here would be the left side tyres. But what are your thoughts, mate? Do you reckon there's a big gain to have 4 tyres over 2?
Yeah, the gain is in the first 5 or so laps in the stint. The new tyres give you a really big gain at first, like seconds a lap faster, but after that 5-lap period, the tyres kind of level off and plateau for the rest of the stint. So if the people that take 2 tyres can hold their opponent out for those 5 laps, they're in with half a chance. But the problem is you're going to have to defend a little bit vigorously, because you only gain about 3 or 4 seconds in the stop by taking 2 tyres. So you do the maths, and if you're a second a lap quicker on 4 tyres and there's 5 laps of that happening, that guy's going to catch you before those 4 seconds. So, yeah, 2 tyres is a strategy I think a lot of people will use. I'm even considering doing it, depending on how the first few laps play out. But it's a risk. 4 tyres is the safe option.
Now, before you go off and do your final qualifying session, have you got anything left, Hank, for qualifying?
Yeah, I think we all do this week. The track's so hard to put a good lap together. So yeah, talking to all the others in the field, everyone's got one left, including myself. So yeah, we'll have to see how we go. See if we can piece a lap together.
Well, good luck, mate. We'll let you go and have a drink and get ready for qualifying. All the best.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Talk to you after.
Good luck, mate.
Absolutely, good luck to Mad tonight. Guys, I know that obviously coming off pole provisionally at this stage, he's got the likes of Renz and Hammer behind him, who are in front of him in points. So we know that Madison will certainly be trying to get that Tats.com Racing Falcon out in front and scoring the necessary points to close that gap in the championship, wanting to go 2 in a row, of course.
We've actually seen this week a little bit of a different situation as well, especially with this pit strategy that we were just briefly mentioning. We've actually had a couple of different winners, or 3 different winners in the 3 races earlier in the week. So Brad Ryan's won a race, Renz Brookman and Richard Hampstead. So it's a really, really open race tonight. Anyone could win this.
I think that's the beauty of having pit stops in the series. I mean, it's probably just a crucial thing that we miss sometimes, but it really does mix things up. You're talking about the difference winners we've had, but it certainly plays a big part when someone will take a gamble, whether they actually go 2 tyres, 4 tyres, or even a big risk where they go with no tyres. It really is a huge key towards the end of these races.
Well, we saw in the earlier race tonight, Sandman, that John Emerson, who at the moment is starting out of 5th place, he really went late on his strategy. In fact, much later than the other drivers, and came back into the field, I think, in 5th, and made his way up to 2nd because the other drivers had just literally spent their tyres early, and he capitalised on that with the pit strategy.
Yeah, you're not wrong. That was actually brilliant to watch. We were watching that, and I think it was about 10 laps to go, and it was just sort of the other guys fell off, and he came on strong and just powered through the field and grabbed P2. Like you said, it was actually brilliant to watch. And although some of these guys may go for the same strategy, whether it be 2 tyres or 4 tyres, it's depending on when you put them on. If you put them on early, you're going to use them up harder than you are. So towards the end, you're on rough rubber, but those guys that wait a little bit longer, like you said with Emerson did, it really pays off in the end.
Now, Jay, championship-wise, we look, and there's been a real change of guard in the last probably 3 weeks, I'd say, where for the first 3 rounds, Scott McLaughlin just dominated. Obviously, with his commitments racing and not being here and celebrating, we've seen a change of the guard. The championship-wise, Hammer's leading now, followed by Ruggier, Brookman, Muggleton, who also we have some very interesting news about tonight, which we'll obviously share throughout the night. Then back into 5th is Scotty McLaughlin now. Madison back in 6th. And as I mentioned, wanting to go 2 in a row as far as winning seasons here in this championship. But, mate, it is just, it's not over until the proverbial fat lady sings, is it?
No, it's a really, really close championship. And as you mentioned, Josh Muggleton's pulled out of the rest of this season. He'll hopefully make a return for next season, having a bit of a break. And tonight we won't have Scott McLaughlin or Justin Ruggier racing, so it's a really, really open field tonight. It's a really good chance for a few of the guys that are a little bit behind in the championship to gain a big advantage in the championship. So it's going to be a great race tonight, and I think we might see a different winner tonight. I really think someone from left field will win the race tonight.
The one thing I do like with the mix-up with the championship points is that we take into consideration the drop rounds. I think the guys are eligible for 2 drop rounds that they can take out as far as what their end-of-season results are. So although we see that Scotty McLaughlin's way down in the points, he's not really that far off the pace if you take in consideration the drop rounds.
Yeah, four drop rounds you get, so your worst 4 results don't count towards the championship. So obviously Scott McLaughlin last week and this week will score 0. Which actually puts more pressure on him to perform in the races that he actually turns up for. So it's going to close up that championship right towards the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we discussed there, you've got so many of the guys now. To your knowledge, have we had any guys that have sort of said that's a drop round that I'm going to utilise from last week or the week before?
There are a few guys that have had bad weeks that I know won't be, or will be hoping to improve and not have those around count. So,
yeah, because there's lots and lots of those guys that effectively, if there's guys that haven't said yes, we're going to use that as our round to drop, then they've obviously got the next remaining 6 rounds to go where they could utilise them. But you're right. I think 2 rounds that we haven't seen Scotty McLaughlin last week and this week, they'll definitely be 2 of his dropped rounds.
Yeah, he can't score any less points than 0, so he'll be using those as his drop rounds. And obviously, the weeks that he does show up, he'll have to perform that extra bit, that extra little bit better, I guess, to make sure that he can gain an advantage on the guys that have had good, solid performances all 12 weeks. We're in qualifying now on Madison down. Currently, as we said, sitting on pole position with a world record time at this track as well. So it's 1 minute 36.337. Interesting, when I was actually going through all of the times and stats for this week, that the race lap record's actually held by John Emerson in this track. So there you go, there's a little bit of knowledge for you tonight.
It's not a bad reference, is it, when you think about his pace that he had in the earlier race? Don't put it past him for him to come up and sneak off the win tonight, because that pace and that strategy he had earlier was sensational.
As I said, Brad Ryan's also one to watch tonight too, and Vale Riches as well, with that solid team around him, as with John Emerson, Richard Hampstead around. He's a good chance tonight as well.
Well, guys, from your perspective, you've watched the early race, you've seen how the boys have been going throughout the week. Who's your tip?
Well, I'll let you go, Jay. What do you reckon?
Oh, I really don't know. I think it's down to 4 guys that can win this race tonight. Madison is always hard to beat from the front, but he made a lot of mistakes in the early race, and it's very unusual for Madison. So that was actually tough to watch. Renz Brookman's a serious chance because he's probably the most intelligent driver out there in regards to strategy. So he analyses the race on the go, knows what to do, when to stop. But the pace of the guys from TTL, those 2 guys that have performed well in the early race, Richard Hampstead and John Emerson, those two guys are going to be the ones to watch in this race. So I think I'm going to have to say that Richard Hampstead's my pick for this race.
Yeah, you beat me to it, mate. I think watching that pace that he had earlier on, that was pretty impressive. I think in the end he probably made it out to about 4 or 5 seconds, the win, maybe a little bit more. But yeah, I think if you were going to go for, well, not so much a long shot, but the pace that Emerson had, that was pretty impressive to watch. So yeah, but I think it's hard to go past Hammer.
Well, a guy that's on track about to start his hot lap is in fact the Hammer. So let's see how he goes.
Keeping an eye on the timing as well. Brad Ryan's on a pretty good lap out there at the moment, so we'll keep our eye on that. Richard Hampstead, know that he's got a little bit of time left in the tank. He's one of those drivers that can put in a good lap right in the last session. We've seen it a couple of times before, so he's got to gain about 0.2 of a second to pip Madison down.
Yeah, one thing that's probably making it hard for Hammer at the moment, looks like he's coming up to a bit of traffic, which can be pretty painful. Looks like one of them are moving out of the way, which is good, but it's always a tricky one when you're on a flyer and all these other guys are, just setting themselves up for a quick lap and you come across traffic. But so far so good, everyone's sort of behaving himself at this stage.
And he's aborted his lap.
Well, at this stage we've only got, as we cross the line, 4 cars that have qualified, and none of them representative of where we will see the field. I guess Brad Ryan is probably the only man that's close. 136.824 for Ryan at this early stage. Of course, 20 minutes of qualifying, we've got about 14 and a half remaining. So this qualifying session is in fact going through very, very quickly, with Hampstead leaving for another attempt, so he'll have his outlap and of course then try and get some good real estate to try and put down a flyer.
Actually, the first time we actually did the intro with the hot lap, Scott McLaughlin was nice enough to take us for a lap around this track, and he taught us quite a lot about saving tyres on your outlap, and I think that's something that a lot of drivers in the series have actually learnt from that first hot lap we had in the broadcast with Scott McLaughlin.
Isn't it funny, you look at and try and replicate or mimic the the real world with your racing, and it's funny how you would think that you would need to get temperature up into them and bring them up to a good operating temperature. However, as you've just pointed out, Jay, not the case. Conserve, keep them not green, but certainly keep them as fresh as possible.
Go to Cal Watmore, the DTR driver. Just starting his hot lap. Their teammate Josh Moggleton deciding to sit out for the rest of the season, so good luck to Muggo, and hello to Muggo Nation who are watching.
I know
Muggo's fan club.
I know the boys were pretty happy about the fact that they got a mention last week, so absolutely big salute to the boys and girls at Muggo Nation. And Muggo, if you're tuning in tonight, certainly, mate, we can't wait to see you back behind the wheel. Of course, you are an integral part of this series, so yeah, we look forward to seeing you back.
Cal looks like he might actually get stuck in with a bit of traffic there. Might have hurt him at that chicane there. Still pushing on for his lap though. They're just trying to find Cal on the timing sheets this week. I don't know if he's actually posted a qualifying lap at this stage.
So Cal got a fair bit of traffic to contend with here. Of course, Oulton Park in Cheshire, depending on what part of the world you're from, in England. And what's
38.455. That'll put him about the 30th position. I know you'll be looking to improve on that because that's not the sort of area you expect Cal Watmore to be. Expect to see him up in the top 20 drivers, so he'll be back out there for another lap. Go to the man currently in 3rd position, Richard Hampstead.
Madison down goes 136.392, by the way, guys.
Yeah, good lap from Madison. He's still not quite good enough to pip his current world record, but not far away. Promising signs for Madison there with a good lap. Hampstead a little bit in the grass.
It's a little bit scary for the rest of the field, isn't it, when Madison goes out, puts out the world record for this circuit, and then comes out in the last qualifying session and almost mimics it. So, and that he says he's got a little bit left in the tank, so that's could be a little bit frightening for the rest of the field.
36.824 for John Emerson from TTL. So he's 2/10 off where we've seen him in earlier qualifying.
Laps look pretty good from Hampstead. He's actually been able to avoid traffic pretty well. It's been a very committed lap. This is the line. 1:36.9. It's a little bit off where he needs to be, about 4/10 away.
It's that fine line, isn't it, where these guys have, got to find themselves a bit of clean air and have, fresh set of tyres and make sure they watch their outlap. And although they're going around making sure they don't go too hard on their outlap, these guys have also got to look in their rearview mirrors to make sure they're trying not to spoil anyone else's lap. So even though the guys are putting around there at, 70 miles an hour or something, they've still got a lot to do.
So we've got Clayton Brooksy on screen. He's the team manager for ANZ Motorsport. Pretty good gig to have all those good drivers around him. Not a bad peddler himself.
Well, they say, surround yourself with champions, and you certainly help create or make yourself a champion. So we haven't seen Brooks in the top 10 as far as qualifying this week as yet. Hopefully we'll be able to pull something off out of the bag here in this final qualifying session. Somebody else that's also of course, we'll stay with Brooksy, but somebody else that's just started his hot lap now is Matthew Barron, of course, the new young gun. I'll keep an eye on how he goes.
He's pretty impressed. He's pretty proud at the moment. He's currently sitting in P9, Matty Barron, so Chris is quite proud of himself. So hearing him, his voice, speaking to him earlier, he's quite excited about tonight. Oh, and Brooksy's just hit the tyre barrier. That'll end his qualifying run. May not have actually realised that he's hit the tyre barrier though.
It's a little disheartening, isn't it? These guys are all having a red hot go, and you only have to clip those tyres just the slightest little bit, or just have a little bit of an off track, and that wipes your time completely. So a bit of bad luck if it's ruined his lap because he's having a real red hot go.
It's a very committed lap he's doing. It looks really, really good time wise. A little bit loose on exit of the final corner. I counted the lap time, 1:38.5. Not too bad a lap. Richard Hampstead just starts his hot lap.
Yeah, Madison down also on a hot lap as well. So a number of the front runners out on track at the moment, all vying with little under 8 minutes remaining here in this qualifying session at Oulton Park. And what does Madison Down come up with this time? 1:36.383.
Watching the timing for a few of the guys out on track, Richard Hampstead and John Emerson both on improved first sectors. John Emerson will continue his lap. Hampstead's aborted his. Could be an improvement from Emerson. And almost the same lap time that he put down just before, so 1:36.843 for Emerson.
Very consistent indeed. So Robert Hartley, now this is a name, boys, that I'm not really, I guess, familiar with as far as running in the front to mid pack of this series. He's on track at the moment. He's gone 1:38.474, which is certainly enough to put him, I guess, towards the back of the pack.
Yeah, we've seen Rob Hartley. Sorry, Sam. We've seen Rob Hartley pretty consistent in the mid pack in our main races. So it's good to see him out on track, and yeah, he's a very, very good peddler, and look to see him push forward. I think Race of Champions, we've seen how good he can perform in other cars, so I think he just needs to find that form in the V8.
Now he's finding himself in 17th position on the grid at the moment with a 37.939 for the week. So he's a little bit off his time, but he's about to finish this lap now. So we'll see what this does for him as he does a 38.0. So still doesn't improve on his time, but still sitting 17th on the grid.
So 17th, in fact. All right. Well, he's in the main game as far as that's concerned. So my estimation was just a little out there at 30th, but. Yeah, certainly. Not a name that, as I said, I've been familiar with over the past, five rounds.
You will get to learn him. He's a driver that's in pretty much every race we feature, but he stays out of trouble, so he doesn't get himself much airtime. We've got Richard Elwood for Overclockers Australia, another team that sort of coming through. See Nick Rainbird feature regularly in the top race.
Certainly coming down to the business part of qualifying now. The guys have got about almost 5 minutes to go, so they really need to sort of position themselves now where they're either finishing the hot lap and getting ready for that new set of tyres so they can have a crack right at towards the end.
It's one thing that we've seen at this track is guys try and work together and start their laps together so that everyone's on a hot lap or everyone's on an out lap, because there's so much traffic out on track. There's 24 cars on track. Doesn't leave much gap to actually get your hot lap in, so guys all trying to work together, but not as easy as it could be.
And speaking of that, that's actually jogged my memory. It's something we really haven't seen much of this season is teams working together and using that bit of that slipstream advantage in those straight lines. We saw a lot of it last season, but not so much this season.
I think next week we might see it a little bit with the long straights at Motegi, but I think we'll talk about that more next week. Elwood crosses the line on 40.2.
We just saw a 138.473 from Cal Watmore.
Now,
so for this session, sitting in
Jace,
6th.
Go to Madison down. Madison's actually got a personal best first sector. He's just aborted his lap right on cue. That was good.
The old curse again.
I tell you what, you're real good at that. You're exceptionally good at the,
I have been the master at this.
commentator's curse.
So Corey Slade on screen. Of course, joins us in the commentary box every now and again, Corey, when he's not racing.
Yeah, he got a bit of the bug, didn't he, when he jumped in the commentary box, watching all these boys turning laps, and couldn't help himself. He had to get himself sorted and get back into the main game. So good on Corey, having another crack here.
He gave up commentating. He wanted to have a rest from that, and then he wanted to have a rest altogether and missed commentating that much. He had to come back, and now he's racing again.
Mind you, from this season, I think the standout. Not one that he'd want to remember, but Phillip Island. Love the livery. Phillip Island sucks. No, he wasn't real impressed there, was he?
He doesn't like the place very much. He'll tell you what he thinks about Phillip Island.
Yeah, without any hesitation.
I think he calls it a glorified motorbike track, I think he calls it.
But good to see Corey having some success. I think finished 7th, if I'm not mistaken, in that last race. So
he dropped back to 11th after a bit of an incident at turn 2, but
was running in 7th.
He was running in 7th, yeah.
But no, good effort. So Corey, obviously pretty comfortable here at Oulton Park this weekend, or tonight.
They're in that part of the qualifying now where you've got a lot of these cars that are just sort of rolling around ready to start these hot laps. What are we up to? Almost 2 minutes to go. So if the guys haven't sort of put on the tyres now, they sort of need to do it right now to really make the most of the last of this qualifying session.
Yeah, well, the guys, sorry, you go.
No, I was sorry, mate. I was just about to say, Matty Barron. I'm trying to look through the qualifying list, and I don't think we've seen him actually put a time in as yet.
He hasn't finished a lap yet.
No, yeah. So looking a little loose in the XSG Falcon, but he's on a hot one.
And John Emerson doesn't look like he'll improve on his lap at the moment. He's a little bit behind. Apologies, guys. We're trying to keep you up to date with as much information as we can. It's a little bit hard to get it all to you.
Barron into the pits.
Barron will still start in 9th position depending on what happens in the last lap. This will be Brad Ryan's last attempt. They might be able to get a bit of a slipstream from Adam Surplus ahead of him.
Big shout out to Brad Ryan too. Had a bit of a chat with him over the weekend and was going to... Oh, as he gets contact! That'll send him into the fence and that'll pretty much kill his qualifying now because there's under a minute to go. So bad luck there for Brad Ryan. But yeah, I was going to say a big shout out to Brad because I was going to try and catch up with him over the weekend. Was down at Winton for the HQs and didn't get a chance, but no doubt we'll catch up with him very shortly.
Madison's on his final attempt, as is Richard Hampstead. So this is these guys' last lap before we go into the main race. Hampstead's on a good one, and Madison's also on a reasonable lap. I don't think Madison will improve, but Hampstead's looking very, very quick. Could we see pole taken away on the last lap?
Beautiful through the chicane there. Just really, you know, clipped the curves beautifully.
Looks good at the second sector time split as well.
He's done an impressive time. He's done a 36.594 in this session. His fastest for the week is a 36.512. So definitely looking like he's on the money here to improve.
Needs to get a 36.4 to improve a position over Renz Brookman. Checkered flag's now out. Crosses the line. Good lap.
Oh, he's done it.
36.391. That puts him into P2. Great
Excellent.
lap.
He'll be happy with that, and it looks like it too. You can see he's really happy with that. Well done.
Exceptional lap. He drove the wheel off that thing, just short shifting at the right time and maintaining some great corner speed.
Just waiting for the last few drivers to finish their flying laps.
I'll tell you what, he stepped his PB hammer up by 2/10. So, exceptional job.
Oh, it definitely adds a little bit more flavour for the race. A couple of people improving on their time. It's really good to see.
Just wait for the official confirmation, because one thing we haven't spoken about yet is we don't know what Renz Brookman's done in the international server. Speaking to him earlier, he did have more time left in the tank, so we could still see an improvement.
Do you know, doesn't that make the series exciting, I think? Imagine taking with the real world series and, you know, being able to run qualifying throughout the week at different times and nobody actually knows until it's like a lottery. It's an exciting part about that, having Renz join us from another server.
I think we should put forward that we don't have the stopwatches visible to anyone and everyone just has to use a manual watch and put the timing out at the end of the session and see who's done what. That'd be great. We have got the official qualifying results in now. Madison Down will start from pole at 136.337. Then it's Hampstead, Brookman, Vale Riches, Brad Ryan, John Emerson, Sean Kelly, Mitch McLeod, Matt Barron, and Sam Collins, the top 10.
Strong showing, boys, for TTL this week.
Yeah, they've been really dialed in this week.
Yeah, it's hard to sort of go past them, isn't it? You know, we saw how good they were in the earlier race, but Madison Down, very pacey, not far off his qualifying time for his overall through the week, and very consistent. So I reckon we're in for one heck of a race.
Yep, really can't wait for this race. Won't be far away, about 10 minutes time. Be back for round 6 of the Iracing.com V8 Supercar official online series. We'll be back shortly.